guys, welcome to Flory Models. Here we are, Wednesday the 30th of November 2016, and nice day off yesterday. Well, I say a day off. Hospital visits, a few little things I had to take care of yesterday, and to be honest, yesterday afternoon and evening I was catching up on all stuff that really should have been done on Monday but didn't get around to it on Monday, so really just paying a little bit of a catch-up day. First of all, thank you so much for all the incredible feedback and you guys watching us do our turkey build, which, as I said, was one of those things where you say it, you have a conversation about it, you think, yeah, that's a good idea. Then you think about the logistics of actually streaming every day, twice a day for 4 days. And then you think about the technical aspects of, like, can the system actually do all of this? What's going to happen? We're going to try and come in from, obviously, the US. You know, Steve's, what, 300 odd miles up country from me, and we're going to try and stream it live. And then you guys are all going to interact into it as well. Luckily and amazingly, it all worked flawlessly. The image quality was coming through at 1080. Obviously, I've looked at a lot of it back and everything else like that, and it worked. It just absolutely worked, which, as I say, I still sit back and think, how the hell did we get all that to do it? Anyway, it was great to have, obviously, your builds involved with it as well. It wasn't just all about us. We played a very small part in it, really, just guiding along. But you guys kicked out some amazing, truly amazing work in such a short amount of time. But personally, from a point of view of video, we streamed 30 hours basically of video. That's actually what it was, which was quite a tall order. And then obviously us and the guys were on before we were on air as well. So I think it's probably around about 35 hours stuff we was up over the 4 days. But you guys really pushed in when we weren't on camera as well. And you kicked out some kits, which I never thought you could ever do. Not about quality anyway, in 4 days, but you did, which truly was amazing. So pat yourselves all on the back. You did an amazing job. Everyone's been saying, is this it now? Is it going to be a regular thing? I think we need to rejig it a little bit, because, to be honest, it took a massive toll out of me. I think it's just that thing from a mental point of view, just sitting in front of the camera, that's the actual easy bit. But the worry and the stress about it actually working and delivering stuff and being able to talk continuously for 30 hours, it does take a little bit out of you, to be honest. And I must admit, by the end of it, you probably noticed, especially Monday, I was absolutely flagging. I was literally, I couldn't think, my voice had gone, my mind was like running, racing in different directions. I was finding it hard to read even, and everything else like that. And it's amazing when you're on that amount of workload and the pressures involved with it. But definitely, it was a lot of fun. And yes, I think we're going to definitely be doing some more again, although we might just stream perhaps during the evenings or the afternoons or something, instead of doing them live continuously like we did, because as I said, I know it took a lot out of Steve as well, and Hans was feeling it as well by the end of it. So perhaps we'll jig it a little bit, but it's definitely going to be back next year, because it was a lot of fun to actually be around with you guys and chatting, answering questions, seeing your builds and things like that. It worked exceptionally well. So now it's literally back to normal. So this is actually the last day of November, which technically means I have a load of paperwork and to sort out, books and stuff like that. But I'm probably going to push that over to tomorrow a little bit, because really, as I walked out of the studio on Monday afternoon from doing this at 5 o'clock, it is how I left it. I haven't moved a single thing, which you can see in a moment as we walk our way through. Also, before we left, we was working on the 4K thing. As I said, loads of you, and say loads, I've had massive feedback saying how wonderful 4K is, even in 1080, because obviously the quality is that much sharper and everything crisper and all the bits and pieces like that. As I said before, it's not going to be a full rollout, and probably until, I'm thinking, maybe February the 1st onwards, or those builds onwards will obviously be in the new 4K system, because obviously we do need to run 4 cameras in 4K and stuff like that. And currently I'm only running now 3 cameras we've got in 4K, and then the 4th one, it will be a big changeover to move that one out of the way, because that's the one that's technically in the spray booth. So we need to sort out about running a 4K in there and how that's going to work. Does it even need it, and all the bits and pieces like that. But that is the other exciting news. If you were with us yesterday, I have ordered the new spray booth, because obviously it's 15% off on Monday, so I thought, right, okay, we'll get that one ordered, so that should be in with us in the next few days. And I've been speaking to Graphic Air. I had a long conversation on the phone with them about it and about us, and might have some exciting news for you in the next few days about that as well. So obviously members, we're thinking discount time, and all things like that. So generally we're going to be working with them and doing a few bits and pieces, and this is the next big thing, because hopefully we will be in a thing of actually sorting out the spray booth area. So down here, in here, the plan is we're going to have 2 of these, which are the big 300 SDs, We're going to get rid of the smaller ones to the side, and I'm going to use them actually more on the bench work for when I'm doing little jobs. So I'm going to set up a sort of spray thing on the bench as well as in here. Okay, so that is the plan for that one. Then we're going to have two 300s next to each other, and then I'm going to get hold of the little bit of perspex, the clear perspex, and we're going to make like a hood system all round it, so sort of more focalize it in. Okay, and then I was actually speaking to a friend of mine who's a air conditioning engineer and things like that, and he was saying about splicing technically two exhausts into one. It probably has got the flow rate to actually do it because it's quite a large flow rate, so we can take them up and then get them both out the wall, or if not we can take one in through the floor. It shouldn't be too much of a problem, but he's thinking it's only running in about less than half power or less filter going out, so it could probably double up, so we might splice two into one up into the cupboard or behind and out the way and everything else like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a full a three-way thing. What we're going to do is an unboxing the 300 SD. For you guys haven't seen what you sort of get in the box, we'll show you all about that. Okay, then we'll do the setup, and then what we're going to do is rip the entire of this lot all out, and then we're going to come back in and then hopefully we're in a position to be able to install both of them in such a way that we can still get the lights, we can still get the cameras and everything on both in there, and give us a lot better draw rate. So when I'm spraying, nothing is going to be coming back at me. Everything is going to be going one way, and that is that way of course, and then going to be taken clean out of the room, so we have no problem like that. But as you can see, it's a bit of a mess down there. That's what you get when you're doing 3 days. As we were working, thank you for all the little bits and pieces on our container. As I said, I messed around with the shipping container. A lot of you did ask about, can we do it so you can see like an edited version of this, but you know, obviously I did it over 2 days messing around, showing you all the different ways of doing chipping and to get this type of effect on a shipping container. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to redo it. I'm going to strip this back, I'll give it an IPA bath I think, and then what we'll do is we'll reprime it, and I'll go again and do a standalone tutorial on this one for about an hour to show you in depth of how I actually did this type of weathering effect with it and all the bits and pieces like that. The fantastic, actually can we zoom with this one at the same time? Hold on, there we go. So we've got the fantastic Bell X1, which actually was a real joy to do. I thought we might have some problems, if I'm honest. I'm thinking center seams and stuff like that off of this guy, but we had none of it whatsoever. It all worked a treat, and I did want to give it a sort of grime to it. So by giving it the wash all over, we did retain a sort of grimy little textures and various things to it and stuff like that. So I'm really happy of how that came out just like that. So that was really, really nice. Obviously next week, well, it probably might even start this week, we've got this. Actually what I'll probably do is this may even go up on Friday. I might do it as the review and the build in one, and then what I'm actually doing with the guys who are following on the live stuff will know I'm actually going to super detail this. So I've managed to get hold of the nuts and bolts and all the bits and pieces for this to be sort of upgraded as it was, because I'm using the same nuts and bolts as they used and everything else. I'm not going to go 1,000,000% on it, because I'll be honest with you, I have got another one. I've got another one down there, and that is for me to do that type of thing with it. But generally I think we can make this a lot better and make it more like a 60 quid kit instead of anything else. So as I said, I've still got loads and loads of little reviews to do and all the bits and pieces like that, which obviously we're going to get going over the next couple of days. We're going to get back up to speed with. This afternoon hopefully what you're going to get is the Gundam. So what we're going to do is get on with the Gundam. We're going to get that one all sort of done and the bits and pieces, and then I can get that edited. Hopefully that'll be finished this week, and then next week what we're going to do is carry on with the Meteor as I'm doing all the Star Wars stuff. So fear not, if you're not into your Star Wars stuff, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be doing other stuff as well, you know, and everything else like that. So as you can see, it is a little bit of a tip in here, literally. As you can see, it is a complete dumping ground around here at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to have a bit of a tidy up for the next sort of hour or two to get this all ship shape, cleaned away, tidied away and everything else like that, and then we can actually get on with some proper work. halfway there. I must admit, this place still needs a total good gut, but it's good enough to get going with today. So what I'm going to do now is basically carrying on with a little bit more of the Gundam. Going to try and do the veins at the back, get all of those done. If we can get all that done, we'll be getting on then, ready for seal it up, ready for weathering.
Listen!
And there we go. I must admit, spent the next probably hour just finishing him off here, getting him all through. First Gundam I've ever built. What are my impressions? Well, it's fantastic, brilliant, really, really nice. Let me stop him just there. Again, it's one of those things, when you're working with Bandai, to me they're a new company. To you guys, you've probably been dealing with them for years. It is engineering at its absolute best. And I've been speaking to, quite frankly, a lot of people over the last few weeks about this particular topic. You know, we had the trouble, we had the Tim problem at the beginning and everything else like that. But it's funny because you speak to certain people, but everybody has one thing in common. And that is the quality of the engineering. Forgetting the rights and the wrongs, and that it doesn't need glue and the snap fit and the movable parts and everything else like that. The engineering is something that everybody always mentions about. There is no fit problems, that it goes together an absolute dream, and generally that, you know, no matter how you sort of, you know, your quality of your build, what type of model you are, anything else like that, at the end of the day you can make something pretty much fantastic straight out of the box with very little effort. Now, does that make a modeler? We've had this conversation, it's been going around a long time and all the rest of it this last few weeks. Definitely it does, especially because what I've tried to show in this particular build is that anybody can put this together. Yes, all right, I'm a professional modeler. I've been doing it for the last 40 odd years and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, it's the first time I've ever tried to do one of these kits. And yes, I know there was the naysayers out there who were having a bit of a go at me because I didn't put my whole 100% effort into this. The thing is, you have to realise, guys, that when I'm doing things, especially for the first time, I won't go 100% and try and change it and give it full details and scratch building and everything else. I need to know the product. I need to know the workings of it. I like to do my homework on it, so to speak. Then I'll push on and start ripping it apart and doing various things to it, scratch building, upgrades where I think they're necessary and all the bits and pieces that go with it. So what you were basically doing with this one is learning the product like I was. So I wanted to show you that anybody could chuck one of these together. It is so simple. That's the whole point of the video build. It is almost like the hook. Okay, I'm trying to hook the people into working with this type of kit and learning that they too can produce something like this with very little effort. Now, this doesn't make this a bad modeler, it doesn't make it a bad model, it doesn't make it a bad genre, and certainly everybody who does this thing doesn't mean that they have got no skills, because at the end of the day, they're working with an exceptionally good product. So they can spend the time elsewhere. So instead of them have to worry about if two halves are ever going to go together, because let's face it, it will, okay, they can do other things to it. So they can experiment with their weathering techniques, they can experiment with their building, they can experiment by scratch building indeed and everything else on that. Because the problems that you have during normal model construction, shall we say, of like filling and all those things, rescribing, re-riveting, aren't necessary with this. But it doesn't mean it can't be done. So anybody, if they wanted to, could actually re-rivet this, which in some ways could be a nice little touch and something about I have thought about for future builds, that I might actually put riveting onto it. And then in the same way that some of these panels and that, I think from a scale point of view, they'd be massive. So perhaps you can actually put in some more panels into it to break it even more detailed, because at the moment this is quite a basic model, but just because of the size of certain ones of these things, like, you know, his feet plates and things like that, for instance, are about 7 foot across. So obviously that would be one hell of a piece of metal, so perhaps it could be 2, perhaps you could do it, and then with re-riveting at this scale, it would look like bolts. Okay, and in fact putting screws and bolts and things into it. And this is something I've got over there. I was just about to drag it over, but I'll show you on a later program about it. That you could, if you want to,
add so much more detail to these. These are what I would call a fantastic jump off point. It's like building Tamiya or any other AAA model kit. Goes together really, really well. So it's up to the modeler then to super detail it and to go in to do anything he actually wanted. So if he wanted to, he could go into this and start adding more details, screws, bolts. I've got down there the most smallish little grub screws you could ever imagine. And I was thinking you could drill holes into this, add those to it. That would give an incredible amount of detail. Dome-headed hex bolts, things like that, tiny microscopic ones. To bolt them all over this, it would make it look absolutely fantastic and stunning. And it's something I intend to do in the future as we do more of this type of stuff, which we are going to do, because let's face it, it is perfect. But from my point of view with this one, I just wanted to show perhaps somebody who's never built one of these before what it's all about. I didn't want to go through the things of overcomplicate it, of doing, you know, complex type of painting system on it, or complex sort of, you know, scratch building on it, or detailing or anything else. From my point of view, the guys who build this, you're probably going to get 2 or 3 different guys out there. You're going to get the guy who builds and paints it to a very high standard, but he's never going to do any more to it, because let's face it, this is what it's all about. This is the genre, the cartoon, the entire, you know, ethos of Gundam in sort of, you know, in concise form like this. You're going to get the other people who are going to think, well, the gun's a bit, you know, plasticky, looking really for scale, perhaps so I could super detail it, and they'll add further parts to it. You're going to get, I suppose, guys then who are going to go in this and probably replace a lot of these plastic parts with metal, putting in proper hinges, proper joints. The one criticism I sort of got with this is the fragility of it. They are incredibly fragile. You've only got to knock this slightly and bits will fall off of it all day long. But I think with some time, a little bit of skills, you could easily replace a lot of the sort of the joins and the hinges in this with better ones, and pins, I'm thinking, and screws, and things like that. So parts actually physically bolt together with this, because it would lend itself very, very well. But generally, I have to say, it has been an incredible build. I've really, really enjoyed doing it, understanding it, learning it, and I've seen some things on this kit I have never seen before on any other model that I've built in the last 40 years. One piece injection molding for a fully articulated hand that works in one mold. This isn't multiple parts, this is one mold. How that was done, I'm still trying to get my head around how that's actually worked and all the rest of it. I have people explain to me, and it's still like some type of sorcery that I don't understand. But generally, the quality of the plastics, the quality of actually the injection molding, the fit, the finish, and everything else like that are as good as any kit I have ever built in my life. And definitely Bandai are one of my AAA titles. You know, that's face it. I have Tamiya, AAA, Meng, you know, and things like that. They are my AAA type of kits. This is definitely well and truly in that family. So if you do fancy having a go at these, I can highly recommend it. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. And for you guys that perhaps struggle with the basics of modeling, such as filling and joints and stuff like that, have a look at these, because you don't do it. It doesn't need it. Of course you can do it, and that's the whole point, and that's what I'm saying. This is the jump off point. This is the basics of the hobby. Now, as experienced modelers out there and things like that, you could take this to a million times different levels of it. So if you are one of these guys who just loves building these and having the overall shape and everything else like that, then this kit is for you. But if you are one of these people who do want to add bits and pieces to this one and completely go for it, and then add perhaps working parts, LED sets into this one, very extensive weathering and painting schemes, these are definitely a fantastic kit to start with, so you can progress with those skills and push them on a lot more. But I have absolutely loved building this, and definitely one of my favourite kits I've ever put together. The fit and finish and everything else like that still absolutely astound me now, even though I've been working on it for the last couple of weeks and everything else like that. Thoroughly enjoyed it, but now we're going to weather it. Okay, and there we go, busy old day. Glad we got this guy done. As I said, stunning pieces of work. I won't go over it again and keep sending it type and all the rest of it, but it really is that very good. Looking forward to weathering it, and that's something we're going to do next week on that one, but definitely pushing through. Don't forget, we are still in the realms of this guy as well, so we will be working on the Meteor. Maybe do a little bit on Friday, and then obviously next week we'll be pushing through on that one, so you've still got plenty to come. So part 4 of this guy is up now, which actually does complete the build and go through it all literally like that. So if you ever wanted to do a Gundam, you've ever thought about it, you didn't know quite what they were, anything else like that, go off and have a look at the video, and that'll fill you in with all the details and how easy these things are to build and what a dream kit they are to work with. with absolutely stunning results, as we can see right the way through. But as we know, it is the end of the month. This is actually the last day of November. Tomorrow is December, so we're going to be pushing on with our sci-fi section. Now, this is something for me, my personal thing, as you know, everyone says, what genre is your biggest thing and what you into the most? If I'm honest, it's sci-fi, namely Star Wars. And as I said, over the years, I have built, you name it, I have built it out of almost everything from Lego, Meccano, wood, cardboard, and now I've got the opportunity to build some stuff for real in the modelling world. So as started last year, very successful. We worked on obviously everything that is Star Wars related and everything else like that. And obviously we've got Rogue One coming out in a few weeks' time as well, which we're really excited about. So what I tend to do is spend December as my sort of sci-fi month, which is my month and everything else like that. So what we're going to be doing over the next course of basically 3-4 weeks is working through things and showing things at very much different levels, very much for the beginning. So we're going to be starting with the beginners kits, snap tight kits, and the easiest and quickest way to update, to detail, to paint, to weather at various different stages as well. So some of them we might just do a very simple repaint job. Others we might do repaint, a few extra bits added, a little bit of scratch building just to bring it up to standard. Other things we're going to go completely whole hog at it. Now, as I said, we've only got a month, and being December, we know how fast this month actually goes by and everything else like that. So what we're going to be focusing on is a lot of one-day builds. Now, these aren't going to be the one-day builds of the true one of like we're just streaming for a whole day. They're going to be edited down, but it'll be where I will start on a kit first thing in the morning. I'll complete it hopefully that day, and then what we'll do is over the next couple of days I'll edit it into one particular episode and we'll go through with them like that. So first up, tomorrow we're actually going to be working on the ATAC kit, which I've got another one with me because, to be honest, I've been working on this one in the background. This one's in here, it's a brand new one in here. Spoken about this a lot. It's overpriced, it's horrible plastic, and quite frankly it's really nasty, but it is the basis for a good start on a kit, which is something I have been working on in the background over here for the last couple of weeks, just doing little bits here and there. But tomorrow I'm going to show you obviously a review and a build just to build it straight out of the box. And then what we're going to do next week is I'm going to show you about super detailing this guy up. So we're going to be using lots of plates, plate armor, things like that, made out of styrene sheet. We're going to be replacing a lot of nuts and bolts and things like that with genuine ones. And really just showing you how to super detail it, but only to a certain point. We're not going to be going on and giving this thing lights and LEDs and ripping it apart, because that would turn it into a too big a job. But what I'm going to show you is how quickly and easily in a day you could turn technically a kid's toy into something very, very nice and very, very detailed and everything else like that. Then we're going to look at obviously at painting and weathering it and going through the stages all about that. So technically this will be like a 3-day build. Part 1 will be up with you tomorrow, okay, and that is going to show you simply building it right out of the box. So we're going to be doing a review and build in one. So as I said, that's already done. It's up on the site, so that will go live with you tomorrow. And then we're going to be working through other builds. So we're going to be doing a little bit of Bandai. We're going to be doing obviously a lot of snap tight sort of Revel stuff, and you name it, we'll be doing it over the actual entire month. But as I said, fear not, we are going to be doing other things. I'm still going to be working on this one, and I'll probably bring in another jet or a piece of armor, because the guys are on about us all doing a T90 together and stuff like that towards the actual end of the month as well before we move on. Also, just to remember, the Big in Japan group build, obviously this will be my entry for it. Time is getting on now. You've literally got a couple of weeks left. I think it actually ends on the 18th. So really it's time to get on with those and push through and everything else like that. But what we'll do is Friday, we'll have a proper look through at the completion dates and everything else like that, as we normally do on our Friday roundup. So there we go. That's it from me. Nice to be back. Nice to be doing normal vlogs and things like that and having almost a normal day. So until tomorrow, everybody, happy modelling. Take care.